What's good, sports channel? My name is JB and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a 2025 NFL mock draft here over on the PFF mock draft simulator. If you don't know about this, I'll leave a link in the description. You can check it out if you want. You can do mock drafts. Also, there's paid stuff you can unlock. It's pretty cool over here on the PFF side of things. So yeah, we're going to be doing a first round mock draft. This isn't meant to be like some super analytic discussion about these players or really anything, you know, too groundbreaking that you probably haven't seen before. You've probably seen all these players mocked where I'm going to end up taking them and stuff like that. But yeah, this is just meant to be a fun thing, just to bring something different to the channel, something fresh to the channel, maybe have a little bit of fun with something like this, because this is the kind of thing I initially wanted to do with this channel instead of playing, you know, football video games, which I'm going to try to get a new dynasty rolling sometime soon. I just haven't really been feeling like playing the game because I've been actually playing stuff over on my main channel. You can go check that out in the link in the description as well. Closing in on 4,000 subs over there. Be pretty sweet if you can subscribe there if you just enjoy my personality or whatever for some reason. Yeah, go subscribe over yonder. But yeah, this isn't meant to be some super analytical thing. Yeah, we're just gonna get into it. Hopefully it'll be fun. Hopefully you guys like who I pick for your favorite team, and hopefully this goes well. So, and you guys like it, and I'll do more stuff like this. I kind of wanted to do stuff more like not necessarily like what TFG does, but sort of just like analyzing like what teams might do, what teams, you know, did in the offseason, like just kind of like recap stuff like that, maybe like recap games, stuff like that. Maybe, I don't know, dude. I don't know what I want to do with the channel. I want it to be more than just a gaming channel though, because you know, there's a ceiling on gaming on this platform. But yeah, we're gonna do more stuff hopefully soon. I don't know. Give me ideas, man. Give me ideas. I want to do more stuff on the channel. Anyway, let's get into it. I'm done rambling. Starting things off at number 1. I don't have the ability to offer trades. Yeah, I need to pay for that, so we won't be doing any trades, although I could definitely see some trades happening. We'll yeah, it won't even let me do this, right? Yeah, no, it wouldn't even let me do it. Okay. But yeah, I could definitely see some team trading. We'll get to some trades I could think of, but they won't let me do it here, so it's fine. Starting things off with Tennessee, all signs point to this being Cam Ward at this point in time. I'm gonna try to stick to somewhat realistic expectations where, like, you know, things that should happen. Like, I don't think Tennessee is going to pass on a QB. They could, you know, look at Abdul or Travis Hunter. I think Travis Hunter is probably the best player in the class. That's where most people seem to agree, but they really need a quarterback. They did a good job sort of revamping their offensive line. I mean, they gave Dan Moore a lot of money, which, you know, that's the thing. They don't really have many people to catch the ball. They don't really have, you know, a great defense, but you're picking at number 1. You take the quarterback. We're going Cam Ward at number 1 overall. Now, at number 2, there are a couple ways of thinking here. Depends on what you want if you are Cleveland. So, do you want an edge rusher next to Myles Garrett? Do you want, you know, maybe the best player in the class, Travis Hunter? Both are viable options. Both are very viable options. I think what I'm going to have them do here, though, is take Travis Hunter, because they do need help at corner. They really need help at receiver. They have a decent D-line on paper. They have other guys other than Myles Garrett who can play. Even if, you know, they don't have that super high ceiling, they have that super high ceiling with, you know, one of the best defensive players in the league. So I think we're going to go grab Travis Hunter. He plays some for them on offense, give me a lockdown corner for them. Doesn't have to play every down on both sides of the ball. You can bring him in whenever you need to. So on either side, I think he fits this roster the most. And then that kind of screws the Giants over, where they are a team that doesn't necessarily need Abdul. They have Brian Burns. Still sad we traded him as a Panthers fan, but they have Kayvon Thibodeau, who's decent. They have a really good interior of their offensive line. They could look, let's say, interior of their offensive line, mid-defensive line, with Dexter Lawrence. They could look, you know, of course, at quarterback. They could go shedeur at 3. I don't think that's going to happen. There are more and more reports coming out that teams are, you know, pushing him further down their board. So I don't think he could go 3. I don't think he's going to go 3. He still could. I don't think he will. They could look to go Mason Graham just to really shore up that interior and just maybe make that their identity. The thing is, you know, this coaching staff is coaching for their job, so that comes into play as well. You could look at a guy like Abdul as well. It's just they don't really need edge, but I think he is just the best player on the board. So I think you just take the best player and figure it out. I know that, you know, probably doesn't save Daboll's job, but Daboll is objectively a good coach. It's like, why are they coaching for their job if, like, you don't want to fire him because he's a good coach? Then just don't fire him. I don't know. It's a weird thing. Like, obviously, you know, they just had the bad luck of the draw and this didn't end up being a good quarterback class. They could take one on day 2. Russ and James are fine for a year. I think I'm going to go Abdul and just say, figure it out later. have a decent year, maybe we won't fire you, but then they have a worse pick if they have a decent year, so it would be harder to get a quarterback. But I think they have all their picks, so if they need to trade up, they can. But who knows if, you know, whoever's picking at 1 next year, if it's not them, needs a quarterback. Like, they could need one and wouldn't be willing to trade, so they should be able to get themselves into position to take one next year, hopefully. Just take the best player on the board and figure it out later. Abdul is a freak. Great athlete, one of the best players of the draft, very easily, so take him here. Then moving on to the New England Patriots at number 4. This is one of my hot takes. We're going to get a little bit spicy with this one. There are, again, a few ways this could go. I think their dream scenario is one of Hunter and Carter falling to them. In this scenario, that didn't happen. So where do you go if that doesn't happen? You could go Ted McMillan, get a weapon for Drake May. The NFL seems weird on him. Whereas like most draft analysts I follow really like him. I see him falling like even down to the 20s in some mock drafts. I don't think he gets out of the top 12 or 15 picks for sure. I don't think he gets past the Cowboys. I think this is absolute floor. But yeah, I think Ted McMillan's awesome. I don't know if that's what the Patriots do. They could go jeanty, but they don't have a great offensive line. So what do they do at offensive line then? Well, there's a couple guys. Will Campbell, he has shorter arms. I don't know if he ends up going top 5. Armand Mimbu is a guy who's been flying up draft boards lately. It could be looked at as the best tackle in the class. I think that's what we're going to do here, is take Armand Mimbu from Missouri to be the right tackle of the future for Drake May and this New England Patriots team. Their O-line is weak. They have Mike Onwenu, Cole Strange. I forget who their actual starting left tackle is currently. I should probably look that up. Patriots depth charts. I feel like they brought someone in, no? Darian Lowe is starting there. They also have Morgan Moses, a vet. So yeah, their center or their interior is okay. Onwenu, Bradbury, and fucking the guy I just mentioned, Cole Strange. So they have a decent interior. They need a tackle. Go with maybe the best one in the drafts. Even though he plays the slightly less valuable right side, we're going Armand Mimbu. At number 5 with the Jacksonville Jaguars, they kind of just feel like the Mason Graham team. That just feels like what it's been all offseason. And I think that's probably what they're going to end up doing. They, this is something I've heard other people bring up before in the community, if you will. Not that I'm really a part of said community, but people have said that the, well, it's not also that people have said it, it's just the Jaguars, I don't know why I said the Jags GM. I'm just going to stop fucking trying to sound like an asshole and just talk. So the Jags GM basically said that, or was asked that, hey, you guys didn't really improve your interior defensive line. And he said, yeah, we need the rookies to play somewhere. That pretty much solidifies that they're going to go interior defensive line. Mason Graham could be the best one on the board. He's the highest rated. He's kind of just good at some things, not great at any one thing. He's kind of a better run defender than a pass rusher, but he has really high pass rush upside. I'm not a huge Mason Graham guy. I'm not in the top 5 anyway, but I think that's where he's going to end up going. We're going to take him here for the Jags. He's a good player, but in a really, really good D-line class, he's like viewed as far and away the best when I don't know if he is. He might be, might not be. My hot take is he's probably closer to the other guys than the other guys are to him, if that makes sense. Like, he's probably closer to being middle of the, like, he's probably closer to, like, you know, these guys than, you know, how do I wear this? He's probably closer to these guys than other running backs are to Ashton Jeanty, if that makes sense. Like, Jeanty is far and away RB1. Mason Graham isn't far and away DT1, if that makes sense. I think it makes sense. Speaking of Ashton Jeanty, I think the Raiders are going to take him. It just all lines up too well not to. They need another pass catcher, but they also just need a running back. The running back room was one of the worst in the leagues last year. They have an okay, if not spectacular O-line. They have a good enough offensive line for a really, 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 really good running back to come in and make stuff happen. So that's where we're going to go with that pick. They're trying to win now with Pete Carroll. Brought in Geno. Just get one of the best players in the class. You have Brock Bowers to catch the ball, so keep feeding him. Keep feeding Jacoby Myers. Could move on from Michael Mayer, but that remains to be seen. Either way, we're going Jeanty at 6. At number 7, the Jets are on the board. Look at quarterback, could look at receiver. I wouldn't mind Ted McMillan there, but feels like they, I mean, listen, drafting a receiver at 7 when you brought in Justin Fields to be your quarterback kind of feels like a waste of a pick. If I'm just being honest, never been a big Justin Fields guy. So we could look to defensive interior. You could look at QB. Probably not going to take one at 7. I'm not taking shedeur at 7 if I'm them. No shot. So in that case, I think we look defensive interior. And this is another guy who's been interviewing really well. NFL teams seem to think he's got a ton of upside. And this is another surprise I have in the top 10. We're going Walter Nolan to pair next to Quinnen Williams. The Jets defensive line interior specifically was terrible last year outside of Quinnen Williams. Quinnen had to do everything for this team. So get him some help on the interior. Continue to make a strength of strength. They have good edge rushers. Get them a really good interior pass rusher to pair next to Quinnen Williams and just make that defensive line absolutely terrifying for other teams to go against. Now, at number 8, my favorite team, the Carolina Panthers. They've pretty much been confirmed to be going defense if you go by what the head coach said in an interview, Canales. He asked where we would go. He gave the typical coach answer, but then he slipped up and kind of said, but we need to fix the defense. So that leads me to believe they are going to go defense here. I want Tet McMillan. If I were, the GM, I would just take Tet because I think he's an incredible receiver prospect. But if we're going off what the coach said, I wouldn't mind Jahad Campbell to play that Frankie Louvu role in Evero's defense. I would honestly love that, but I don't know if he goes top 10. I think Jahad Campbell is an incredible player. I don't know if he goes top 10. I don't love Will Johnson. The athleticism kind of scares me, and I don't really want another corner with health concerns when we have JC Horn, who we just paid $100 million. Green and Pierce are both very athletic players who are great pass rushers, but have off the field stuff. It was a little bit too high for Esa Raku. It was a little bit too high for Kenneth Grant. Don't really need O-line. Again, if we're going to look receiver, I'd rather look Matthew Golden or McMillan over a guy like Golden. Jalen Walker could be in play here. Michael Williams could be in play here. It feels like Walker is falling down the board a little bit while Williams is rising up the board. I'm not a huge Williams guy. I wouldn't mind Shamar Stewart. Just take a shot on freaky athleticism and hopefully it pans out. But I really don't know, man. If this is what I would do, I'm taking Tet. So we're just going to go ahead and do what I would do in this instance and take Tetairoa McMillan to hopefully be our receiver 1 of the future here in Carolina. Now, at number 9, this is one of the easiest picks in the draft. The Saints need talent everywhere. They have a pretty awful O-line. We're just going to bring in Will Campbell from LSU. I believe he also grew up in Louisiana. I think he's just basically a Louisiana kid through and through. Solves an issue on their offensive line. He could play somewhere. It's just going to be one of those scenarios where just get your best 5 guys out there, and Will Campbell will be one of them. Whether or not he's 6 at tackle, which he may or may not be able to do. He was an incredible prospect and player at tackle, but the NFL teams really harp in on arm length when it comes to playing tackle in the league, and he has sub 33-inch arms, which is like the absolute lowest you want. So he has pretty short arms. Actually, I believe it's right at 33 inches, which I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff with him. It's like he was measured wrong at his pro day. He was measured wrong at the combine, and then he was measured wrong somewhere else. Like his arms were measured 3 different lengths, 3 different places. So who really knows? He could stick a tackle, but either way, you're going to get a really talented offensive line, whether at tackle or at guard. And the Saints desperately need O-line help. So we're going to go Will Campbell, keep him in state. At number 10, the Chicago Bears need help on that D-line as well. They could look to go running back. I bet they would love if jeanty made it. This could have been a team that tried to jump up with like maybe Jacksonville here. If Jacksonville just doesn't want to take Mason Graham at 5 or doesn't, love how the board fell, they could look to trade up to get jeanty if they really want to. Would be a Ben Johnson thing to do. Coming from that Dan Campbell thing, it'd just be an insane thing to do, which we know that coaching staff likes to do insane things. But they don't really have the say in that matter. It's more the GM. But, you get a little input there. Also, I feel like Ben Johnson is basically running the show over there, which is fair because, he's maybe the highest touted coaching prospect ever. Perhaps. No. What do they do here at number 10? They could look D-line. I think D-line is kind of the value here. This could be another Jahad Campbell spot. They could be a team that takes a shot on a freaky athlete with upside like Mike Green or James Pierce. Wouldn't mind that. They could also look O-line to get another starter in there. Because Braxton Jones might not be the answer at left tackle, but who's the best tackle at this point? Josh Simmons, he's an injury concern guy. Malachi Starks would be awesome on this defense. I don't know if he ends up going top 10 though. I want to say they have a contract coming up at safety. Or no, Jaquan Brisker has I think he has concussion issues. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to play a lot this year. Might be kind of wasted here for him. Kenneth Grant to shore up their interior run defense feels pretty good as well. So to me, it comes down to, again, defensive interior and edge. I think this is just the strengths of this class. Could even look at a guy like Shamar Stewart, get a little bit of both. I kind of like that. I kind of like Shamar Stewart here. We're gonna take the shot on Shamar Stewart in the top 10. Feels like he was locked to go top 10 after the combine, and then that kind of fell off. I think a team like Chicago could take a shot here. They have Montez Sweats. They have a decent veteran interior. They're just bringing Grady Jarrett. They have a chance to develop a guy. They have Austin Booker, I want to say, from Oregon or Kansas, one of those two schools. I forget which one. They have another, like, they have a good rotation there. Just take a swing on the upside of Shamar Stewart, man. I like it. I like it there. That also feels like a guy that might have been considered for the Niners, and they have a really weird team, man. They just hemorrhaged talent on the defensive line this offseason, though. So I think, again, this is going to be another defensive line team. I know it's a run of them, but this is where the best players in this class are. Kenneth Grant could be a guy, has a little bit of pass rush upside, really more of a big nose tackle, though. He's huge. Did not have his measurables. There we go. Yeah, 6'3", 340. Huge. And they could also be a team that takes a shot on a guy like Mike Green. Who's get a freaky pass rusher next to Nick Bosa. And if I had to lean a certain way here, I think I would probably just take a shot on Mike Green. He has maybe the highest upside in the class. Had some really weird allegations back in the day, but that's why he ended up going to Marshall. I think... But everything's been quiet, basically, for multiple seasons, multiple years. I think we're going to take a shot on Mike Green. They just need talent on that D-line. Now, here is another one of my interesting picks. So, Dallas. They need a running back. They need pass catchers. They could use O-line. They could use defense. This is one of my favorite fits in this draft, and I don't think I've heard anyone talk about this. If you guys have, you know, that's cool. I haven't seen anyone talk about this. So, the Dallas Cowboys starting tight end. Jake Ferguson is a free agent after next year, and he's Jake Ferguson. He's a fine player. He's nothing special. I think Tyler Warren has a chance to be very, very special. He's a great tight end prospect, 6'6", 260, really good athlete, really good pass blocker, or pass catcher, run blocker. He's a great tight end, great all-around player. I love this fit, and for like all the other mock drafts I see everywhere, it keeps him off of the Colts, which is great for fantasy football. And selfishly, I just don't want him to go there because I want Tyler Warren to eat in fantasy. So Tyler Warren in Dallas gives them another pass catcher, which they could really use with CeeDee Lamb. And like I said, Jake Ferguson, who is Jake Ferguson, is on the last year of his deal. So I like Tyler Warren to Dallas a lot. It's a fun pick. At number 13, Dolphins need O-line. Dolphins need everything, really. Do they need a quarterback? I mean, Shedeur Sanders, not a bad pro comp to Tua, honestly, if they want another one. Never know if Tyreek Hill will end up winning a trade. I kind of like Jahad Campbell here. But I think this is where we're going to go Will Johnson. Outside of Jalen Ramsey, they really don't have anything at corner, like at all. Their corner room is really bad. Kader Kohou's an okay slot player. I couldn't even tell you who the rest of their corners are. I think we're going to go Will Johnson here. Not, you know, one of these all-world athletes, but a good caliber NFL athlete. Does have a little bit of injury concerns, but he's a really damn good football player. And at the end of the day, you get really good football players on your team. We're going Will Johnson. At number 14, normally in every mock draft you ever see, this is Tyler Warren going to the Colts. Well, not in this one. Tyler Warren is off the board. So what do we do? How do we pivot? Could look interior offensive line, could look for something off the edge. This would not be a bad James Pierce Jr. spot. Chris Ballard loves the freaky RAS athletes. James Pierce is nothing if not that. This could also be Malachi Starks. They don't have a great safety room. And if I were to be a betting man in this scenario where they don't get their guy in Tyler Warren, I think The more Chris Ballard pick is going to be James Pierce Jr. and just continue to take shots at the edge. They took Leatu a lot through last year. They took Kwity Paye a couple years ago, and he hasn't really panned out. He's an okay run defender, okay like edge too. You need that number one guy. That could be Leatu, that could be James Pierce. Just take good players at valuable positions is what we're going to do there. At number 15, Atlanta. Atlanta's a weird team because they always draft weird things. They took like, what, 3 straight skill position players in the top 10 in Pitts, Bijan, and Penix. And Drake London. I missed Drake London. Penix was on a top 10 pick. But yeah, they've basically drafted their offense. They never draft edge rushers, which is what they really, really need. And in this scenario, a lot of the top edge rushers are off the board. It's a little bit early for Esaraku. And again, this isn't really a team that drafts edge rushers. Could be a Jahad Campbell team. I really like this is a Jahad Campbell team. I also like this as a Jahdae Barron team. They don't really have a lot at corner. They did bring Mike Hughes back. This could also be a Malachi Starks team because I believe Justin Simmons walked in free agency or hasn't been re-signed yet. I believe that is true. I typed his name in wrong. I'm pretty sure he's a free agent currently. Let me confirm that. Justin Simmons is, I believe, still a free agent. Yeah, he's still a free agent. So on the chance they don't bring him back, they need another safety back there with Jesse Bates. We're gonna go with Malachi Starks. Another potential do-it-all safety. Could be a Nicky Minwari spot. Just, you know, take another freak athlete just to do it. Could be interesting, but I think we're gonna go with Malachi Starks. At number 16, one of the hardest teams to draft for, the Arizona Cardinals. What do they do? What do they do? They need DB, they need D-line, they need O-line. They did a pretty decent job bringing in a lot of defensive linemen. They brought in Josh Sweat, Dalvin Tomlinson. There's another guy in there they brought in. It could look offense to get another receiver for Kyler. But the guard position is pretty weak. This could be a team that looks to go with a Tyler Booker. Probably not him. Could be a guy like Kelvin Banks who could slide inside. Gray Zabel is a guy who a lot of draft nerds love. Could be a little bit early for him. I think. Could also be, we looked at corner. Could be a Jahdae Barron team. I think we're going to go with Jahdae Barron from Texas here for the Arizona Cardinals. They just need another corner. They need talent on that side of the ball. They brought in a lot of guys on the interior of the defensive line that don't need to go there. And then I like Barron more than I like, you know, a guard at that spot. So that's what we're going to do. And then at number 17, okay, this is another team. Needs D-line. Needs interior offensive line. They really need everything on the offensive line. But their defense is getting really expensive. Their defense was terrible last year. They need a guy who could help out on multiple levels there. I think this is finally going to be my Jahad Campbell landing spot here in Cincinnati. He can help off the edge. He's a former 5-star edge rusher converted to off-ball linebacker. He's good in coverage. He can rush the passer. He just helps somewhere. Whether he ends up making the full Micah Parsons transition to edge. Obviously, Micah Parsons played more edge in his senior season at Penn State, or junior season, whatever his final season was at Penn State. He played off the ball there. Or he played went from off-ball linebacker to an edge rusher in college. Campbell went from edge rusher to off-ball linebacker. He could still play edge in Cincinnati. Shades of Devin White, but a much better fielding coverage, much better player here, much better value at 17 than top 5 like the Bucks took. White, who did play good in the Super Bowl, good for him, but I think we're gonna go Jahad Campbell to the Bengals here at number 17. At number 18, another team that's really hard to draft for, the Seattle Seahawks. Their GM hates taking offensive linemen. He thinks it's the most overvalued position in the league. Well, did you see how Sam Darnold played at the end of the year when his entire interior offensive line was ass and injured? Yeah, he played like old Sam Darnold, and not the Sam Darnold that dominated the league for 15 weeks. He played like fucking Jet Sam Darnold. So I think you just have to improve the interior of your offensive line, and I think you're going to take one of these tackles and move them inside, whether it be Banks or Zabel, whichever one you're more of a fan of. I think probably go with the more blue blood school here in Texas and take Kelvin Banks to play a guard spot. Let's set a tackle. He's going to be playing guard. Again, also, if you want to play tackle, Abraham Lucas. Yeah, Charles Cross is the one who's not injured. Abraham Lucas is the one who's always injured. So you get another injury to Abraham Lucas, you can slide him back out to right tackle. I believe he played left for Texas, though. Either way, Kelvin Banks to play somewhere on the offensive line in case of injury. A starting guard, probably, for the Seattle Seahawks at number 19. So this is the team that really wants Shahad Campbell, I would imagine. I believe the Bucks would be a great fit for him. But they didn't get him in this instance. So I think we're going to scroll down a little bit and look for a player in a very similar mold in Jalen Walker. He's a freak athlete, kind of just a rush linebacker. But I see him playing more of a pure edge role here, but again, could drop back into coverage, be that 3-4 outside linebacker. Just kind of a do-it-all guy. Not great in coverage, not great off the ball, but freak athlete, good on linebacker blitzes, good on regular blitzes. If you convert him more into an edge rusher, get him, more used to playing that style, get him coached up in that regard, then you could have a real weapon there. At number 20, this is going to be something on the offense for the Broncos, whether that be a guy like Matthew Golden to be just a speed threat in the offense, which I don't really have. They kind of do with Denzel Mims. Marvin Mims. From Oklahoma. Denzel Mims was the, forget where he went to college, but he went to the Jets for a little bit. Was Denzel Mims also Oklahoma? I feel like Denzel Mims might have also been Oklahoma. We're going on side quests right now. Former second rounder. He went to Baylor. Well, Baylor, Oklahoma, basically the same thing. Okay. Baylor Mayfield. I guess. Sorry. The Broncos. I think it's Matthew Golden or Omarion Hampton. Just get more juice in the receiver room. Or get a good running back. I think we go Hampton for the running back. They took Javante Williams. He was a North Carolina running back. Okay. Omarion Hampton's a better prospect. And Williams was good before injuries. I'm going on Omarion Hampton here for this team. Now, this is where things start to get interesting. I should have said that before that pick. But I don't think Denver is trading out of that spot. I think they're taking one of those two guys, especially if they get there. This is where things do get a little bit interesting, though. I feel like Cleveland, who's picking at number 33, with Travis Hunter off the board, I think Cleveland will be very heavily trying to trade up into the first round if no one takes Shedeur Sanders. I think this is the real area where teams will start thinking about Shedeur. Currently, we don't know who the Steelers' starting quarterback is. It's probably going to end up being Aaron Rodgers, but right now we don't know that. It's not going to be Mason Rudolph. He's on the team. If it is Mason Rudolph, yikes. So what do we do about all of that? I'm not sure. Obviously, the Steelers in a million years would never trade away a starting quarterback to a division rival, so they would not trade away this pick to the Browns. But if Shedeur makes it past this pick, I think Cleveland will be hammering phones try to get in on trading up for Shedeur so they can pair him with Travis Hunter, maybe try to get Deion Sanders to come coach the team, just really trying to build that up for whatever reason. I don't know. It's just a storyline I've seen thrown around. It makes a lot of sense for that to happen, but I don't think Shedeur is going to get past this team. If you don't look at quarterback for the Steelers, could look interior defensive line. It seems to be a team that always takes interior linemen. They did lose their starting left tackle, Dan Moore, but they have, young guys there. They could be ready to start. Josh Simmons, injury concerns. Could always look receiver, even though they did just trade for DK Metcalf, so that's probably not something. Michael Williams feels like a Steeler. Gray Zabel feels like a Steeler. Nicky Manwari would be a good pick here, whoever he's listed. Safety from South Carolina. But I don't think Shedeur makes it past this pick. And if I'm being honest, I don't think I would be able to fit him in the draft if I don't take him here. So yeah, Shedeur's going round one. It just depends on where. I think this is the spot. This is a sweet spot for Shedeur at 22 to Pittsburgh Steelers. Whether or not they sign Rodgers, honestly, like we've seen Rodgers mentor players before. Didn't really work out with Zach Wilson, but worked out pretty well for Jordan Love. Could be a similar thing here for Shedeur. And that is the pick there. At number 22, it's going to be a Michigan player for the Chargers because Jim Harbaugh. No, they passed up on Michigan guys, but they did take a couple. Junior Colson, the main one. I was a big Junior Colson guy too. I think it's going to be Colson Loveland or Kenneth Grant. Which side of the ball do you want to improve? And yeah, I think it's going to be one of those two guys. I really like Matthew Golden as well. Matthew Golden is a very good player. But just making connections, I think, for the fantasy football players out there, we're going to go Colson Loveland to the Chargers at number 22. He's a very athletic tight end, good run blocker as well. Just a do-it-all guy. They don't really have a long-term starter there. So we're going to go with that. At number 23, this is the hardest team to draft for in the entire draft. There's no telling what the Packers are going to do. There's absolutely no telling. I have no idea. They need an edge rusher. They need a corner. I would lean corner if I were them. There's no telling if Jair Alexander is going to be on the team next year. They brought in Nate Hobbs. A lot of injury concerns. Trey Amos is a very good player. Azariah Thomas is a very good player. Savon Revel, injured, but very good player. Harrison's a pretty good player. Very fast. I don't know if they would take him, though. It doesn't really feel like their type. I don't know too much about NFL schemes, so forgive me if I end up making like a bad pick at corner. Corner is like the position I struggle with learning the most about. This is such a hard pick. I mean, is it not just Michael Williams? That is the most Brian Gutekunst pick of all time. Just take an SEC edge rusher and figure it out. Yeah. I think we're just gonna go Michael Williams. Good run defender. A lot of pass rush upside, but hasn't really lived up to it. Apologies to TFG, but I'm going Michael Williams at 23. I think that's just the best fit. All right, this is the easiest spot in the draft. Minnesota is trading out of this pick. They have 4 picks in the entire draft. They're going to trade down. The problem is, A, we can't do that because I don't have the subscription to PFF, so I can't do that. And B, finding out who to trade down with would also be hard. So, leads me to a problem that who do they take? Good luck running back. I think they would love if Amari and Hampton made it to them. That would maybe make them consider not trading out, but I think they're going to end up trading out. They could look safety. I really like Nicky Manwari here. They need another one. They like 3 safety sets. They lost Cam Bynum in the offseason. Could be an Eamon Warrior spot. Could also be, try to get Xavier Watts or Kevin Winston in the second round. So I don't think they go safety here, especially with this pick, considering, what we already talked about. So it's Kenneth Grant or Derek Harmon for me. Kenneth Grant, the better run defender. Derek Harmon, the best pass rusher. Both have upside to do the other, though. I think we're going to go Kenneth Grant just to get him off the board. I know he's probably a first round lock, so we'll go Kenneth Grant at number 24 to the Vikings. At number 25. Oh, boy. What is this team doing? Yeah, the Texans traded away Laramie Tunsil because he holds a couple too many times a game, and he's not vocal in the locker room. Who cares? He's one of the best pass protectors in the league, and you already got CJ Stroud almost killed last year. So you could look offensive line. I think it's going to be one of these 2 Ohio State players, Simmons or Ibuka. Pair him back up with his former tackle or his former receiver. I know Stroud and Ibuka played together. I don't know if Simmons ever started with Stroud, though. Stroud, not Stroud. The thing with Simmons is he's coming off a patellar tendon injury. That is a very hard injury to come back from. So that's tough for me. I think I'm probably still going to take him just because they really need offensive linemen. They brought in a Band-Aid player at tackle. I forget who. It was a 1-year, nothing deal. So they could obviously look to bring in a guy like, Simmons, who has a ton of upside. If it weren't for injuries, he would be, a top 10, 15 pick. And Trent Brown at right tackle. They brought in Cam Robinson at left tackle. Their interior is terrible as well. So they could be a Gray Zabel team. I kind of like Gray Zabel for them, honestly. But I'm going to go Josh Simmons. Just get tackle figured out. Get offensive line figured out. If he has to sit for a year because of injury, fine. I don't think he will, though. I think he'll be fine. He looks really good in the clips we've seen in the offseason. I think that's the play. I think that's the pick. At number 26, the Rams. This is another team that could just kind of take whatever they want, really. They have a really good roster. Good look tight end. I don't think there's another fresh on tight end. Offensive line is able to play guard, maybe. Their interior is decent, though. They could look at receiver. They did lose Cooper Kupp. Ibuka could fill that slot role. Ibuka plays in the slot, but he is an outside corner or an outside receiver. But could also do damage in the slot if you want to play him in that Cooper Kupp role. So Ibuka makes sense. Matthew Golden makes sense. I kind of like receiver here, honestly. Who else do they have at receiver besides Puka? I know they still have Darius Robinson, but that's not stopping me from taking another receiver. I feel like they have another guy. Devontae Adams, duh. Yeah, Devontae Adams. And Tutu. So they don't need to go receiver. But it would be off the board for me. Their interior is good. Havenstein's getting up there in years, so they could take a shot on a guy like Josh Connerly just to have him waiting in the wings. But I think we try to solve something on defense. Maybe corner. Maybe corner. Could also be another interior defensive lineman. I kind of like Derek Harmon here. Just get another really good pass rusher on that team. A team already full of really good pass rushers. Let's do it. Derek Harmon to the Rams. Add something different in my initial mock draft. I had them initially taking James Pierce, but he went a lot higher in this one because I switched a couple things around. But I could see Pierce falling this far, but he didn't in this scenario. At number 27, this is just the kind of thing that happens to the Ravens. They're very similar to the Eagles in the fact that good players just tend to make it to the Ravens pick, and they don't fuck around. They just take good players. Gray Zabel is a very good player from North Dakota State. Obviously not the highest level of competition, but he dominated at the Senior Bowl at all three interior offensive line spots. They don't need a center, obviously, but they do need guard help. Gray Zabel to the Ravens feels like a money pick. Starting guard for many a season. At the number 28, we have the Detroit Lions. They could look receiver. They could look... had them taking an edge rusher in the last time. Could be an Ezra team. I really like Ezra here. But with all these receivers still on the board, I don't think Matthew Golden gets out of the first. And I think Detroit is smart enough to take them before teams that are going to be contending for Super Bowls would be able to get their hands on a guy like Matthew Golden. Especially, you know, to conference rivals in Washington and Philadelphia. Jesus, why can I not think of the team? I think Matthew Golden to the Lions makes a ton of sense. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jamison Williams is a guy who's always going to miss 4 or 5 games, whether it be from a suspension or an injury, and he's just a very inconsistent player. Get another really fast receiver, really good route runner. Get like a more true X receiver there. Not really an X receiver per se, but could be. Just get another really talented player in that receiving room. I like that. Because Amon-Ra will always be the number 1 on that team. Jamison Williams is your pure deep threat. Obviously, you have, you know, Amon-Ra on the slot. Line up Golden outside. Let him, you know, get to work on go balls. He has the speed for it. Ran in the 4.2s. Yeah, I like that fit. I think we're going with another receiver here, back to back. Get it? How about Emeka Ibuka to the Commanders? I kind of like that fit. That's what I initially had them doing. But looking at the board, I like Ezra for this team as well. Obviously, they brought in Devo, but much like I said about Jamison Williams, Devo Samuel is going to miss many a games a season due to injury. And outside of him and obviously Terry, they don't really have a ton. They have a lot of like journeyman guys. It's not showing me the receivers. Obviously, they have Terry McLaurin. It's only showing me their... What? Look at a different depth chart then. Here we go. Just have to hold on. I'm not editing this at all. Refuse to. Terry McLaurin, Devo, Luke McCaffrey. Luke McCaffrey's the receiver 3. They like Noah Brown. They like KJ Osborne, but that's not stopping me from taking Emeka Ibuka. Yeah, we're going Emeka Ibuka. Just started the slot for a long time. Be a really good player. I like Emeka Ibuka there. Now, do we want to take the pick? Thank you. All right. My computer did not like that website I opened, but it got me the information I needed. At number 30, Buffalo. This is another team that could take pretty much anything. Need help off the edge. Need help off pretty much the entire defense, pretty much. I like Nicky Manwari here. I like Tyleek Williams here a lot. I initially had Nick Skeleton, but feels kind of lame. I think we're gonna go as a Rocky. Just get a little bit more juice off the edge. Yeah, Russo, he's fine. Just get a guy who's a jacked up, twitchy edge rusher who I want to say was close to leading the FBS if didn't outright lead the FBS in sacks last year. We're going Donovan Ezaraku to the Bills at number 30. At number 31, easy pick if he makes it here, Josh Connerly to the Chiefs. They really need tackle. They brought in Jalen Moore from the Niners. Band-aid option at best. Regardless, Josh Connerly going to be a Chief in this scenario. And at number 32, this is initially where I had Ezaraku going to the Philadelphia Eagles, the Super Bowl champions. Shout out to my homie Galadite. Big fan. Yeah, they're going to take whatever Howie decides is the best fit. Could be Scowerton, could be Luther Burden, could be another interior guy. They did lose Milton Williams. And why not Darius Alexander, man? Like, why not Darius Alexander? Could be Nick Scowerton as well. They did lose Josh Sweat. I like Nick Scowerton here. He was really good at Purdue 2 years ago. Transferred into A&M. A&M was weird. Their edge rushers were weird, man. Like, they had two freaky edge rushers that they just didn't really ask to rush the passer. I don't know. Weird coaching. Yeah, we're going Nick Scowerton here to the Eagles at number 32. Just get another solid, good pass rusher. It's just kind of what Howie does. He just drafts really well. So there's the first round mock. If you want to pause and take a look at your team and what they did, go ahead and feel free to do so. But if you guys enjoyed this sort of content, please be sure to let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to try to do these more often. I probably won't do another one for this draft cycle because the draft is like, what, 2 or 3 weeks away at this point. I probably want to do another one for this season, but I would very much like to like analyze what I think of team drafts, you know, maybe grade those, maybe just talk about, you know, fits and stuff like that. Yeah, let me know what sort of stuff you want to see me do aside from just college football 25 videos. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this one. Appreciate you guys watching. I'll catch you later. Take it easy.